With Renegades right around the corner, I wanted to do a series leading up to it going over the best builds for each class and subclass. If you're a new or returning player, I really hope these videos can help get you started, as some of these builds are pretty crazy now. All of these builds are going to be made so you can use whatever weapons you would like to, but I will go over some recommendations that fit with each subclass. On top of that, these builds are not going to be taking advantage of any artifact perks, so you have a clean slate once Renegades launches. I am going to be recording these builds ahead of time, so if any patches come out to change this around, I will update the description down below. As a final note, there are a lot of great builds in Destiny, so if you have one that's similar to this one or even better, definitely be sure to drop it in a comment down below. Again, as this series is to give a place for new returning players to get back into the game a lot quicker. So with all that being said, if you enjoy, learn anything new, and are excited for Renegades, consider doing all the normal YouTube stuff. All of the support is what allows me to make series like this for you all, and I truly appreciate all the love that you show. But without further ado, let's jump into today's build. All right, everyone, we've made it to our second Void build, and this was going to be all about the Void Titan. Now with this one, in all honesty, for your exotic, you can kind of run whatever you want to. This is going to be based on your class ability, so I like to run Crest of Alpha Loopy, but if you want to run Heart of Endless Light, you can. If you want to Hazard Propulsion to make rockets, you can. But this build is going to be themed around survivability, so Crest of Alpha Loopy I think works the best. So this has the exotic perk Survival Well, so generate an additional orb of power from supers, generating a barricade or dealing sustained damage or defeating targets from behind one creates a healing pulse. Healing your allies grants barricade energy. So this exotic does a lot. Honestly, having the extra orb is nice, but the main thing is you're basically going to be able to heal behind your barricade, and you'll be able to charge it quick if you are healing teammates, which is very, very nice. It's not super important because you're gonna be able to get it back already super quick, but it is nice if you are playing a team scenario, which is good. Now, if we jump over to our subclass, this is where it's also going to play into this a lot. First aspect is going to be Bastion, so cast your super to grant an overshield to nearby allies, and casting a barricade grants overshield to yourself and nearby allies, and it powers it, enabling it to slowly regenerate the overshield of allies bunkering behind it and extend their overshield duration. So what that means is now you can essentially place your barricade down. You're going to have an overshield, which is great, just constantly charging. But if you're doing sustained damage, as you see, that little pulse right there is actually going to heal you and your teammates. So your teammates come up here, you can get up here, and you're going to have a constant overshield. You're going to have constant healing just because you're doing damage. If you're killing enemies, you'll also make the healing pulse, and every time you heal your teammates, it will also recharge the barricade. As you see, we already have the barricade back as that one went away, so it's not super necessary. So you have another one ready to go, and this is kind of just like a defensive bolt chart setup, I would say. You can just kind of set it up. You're going to be pretty much unkillable with all the healing, all the overshields. Is very, very good. Now, since we are going to have an overshield pretty much permanently because of this aspect, we can also play into our next aspect, and that is offensive bulwark. So while you have an overshield or inside Water Dawn, your grenade charges significantly faster, and you have increased melee range and damage, and melee final blows restore a small portion of your overshield and extend its duration. You gain an additional Sentinel Shield throw while in Sentinel Shield. So this is great now because if you throw your grenade, you can pop your barricade, and since you have an overshield all the time, you're just going to be getting a lot more grenade regen. It also obviously does have the benefit of basically letting you do more melee damage, and these will count as power melee since if you do have a void overshield, and you can extend that overshield duration, which is super good. It just plays really well into this build. Now, if I'm being completely real with you, it's not like the most necessary, but it kind of does fit into the theme of it. But if you want to run something like Controlled Demolition, if you're playing into Volatile, because this will heal you even further survivability, which is nice, but you don't really need it because we will be taking Devour. Even Unbreakable, if you're playing into survivability, honestly isn't bad if you can get your grenade back really quick. Unbreakable, I think, is like one of the most slept on aspects in this game. It's not like crazy good, but like you're just unkillable with it. But I think the synergy here is just super nice, and it's what allows us to play into our fragments a lot more. Now, talking about the fragments, we are going to be taking Echo Cessation. So finish your final blows, create a burst of void damage that causes nearby combatants to become volatile. Defeating volatile targets creates a void breach. So this is nice because if you are running a volatile weapon, you can make void breaches, but even if you don't, you can just use your finisher to also make void breaches, and the void breaches will actually refund some of your barricade energy, which is nice if you want to spend your barricade more. Now, next up is going to be Echo of Undermine, so your void grenades weaken targets. This is pretty self-explanatory. Your grenade can just now weaken targets, which is super nice. This is going to be very good because again, you'll be able to get your grenade back a lot quicker because of the void overshield, and you can just keep enemies weakened a lot more often. Now, our next fragment is going to be Echo of Remnant. So your lingering grenade effects, Vortex Grenade, Void Wall, Void Spike, and Axe Bolt have increased duration. I like to run Vortex with this build because it's just super nice. It can pull enemies in, make them weaken. But if you want to run something like Void Wall, it's honestly not that bad either. Now, the final fragment is going to be Echo of Starvation. So picking up a Void Breach or an Orb of Power grants Devour. So this is kind of where the Void Breach comes back into play. You can make a Void Breach, pick it up, grant Devour, but the main thing is Orbs can also grant it. And with Devour, you're going to be able to refund your grenade a lot quicker. And it is is extremely easy to set up. Again, literally all you have to do is just pick up Void Breach or an orb, and now you have Devour, and between the Overshield and the Devour itself, you're gonna be able to get your grenade back relatively quick to throw your weakens out even more, which is just super nice. And it just has really good utility, really good survivability, and it's just really nothing that can go wrong with this build, and you're pretty much unkillable because of everything else just going into it. Now for your abilities, again, I just take Vortex, but again, you can kind of use Void Wall if you would like to. I like Shield Bash because it gets suppressed targets. You can also kind of just use it as a movement tool. If you don't hit an enemy with it, you pretty much get all your ability energy back, which is super nice. But if you want to take Shield Throw for like an Overshield, you could do so too. And then I would recommend Rally Barricade. If you want Towering, you can, but Rally has a lower cooldown, and you also get a bunch of other benefits like reload speed, range, and all that stuff. For your super, I like Twilight Arsenal, but if you want to take Sentinel Shield to play into Offensive Bulwark, you totally could do so. Even Ward of Dawn on B-Real is not the worst, especially paired with Alpha Loopy, because you generate that extra orb, which is super nice. And you also get the Overshield. You also get the other benefits of Offensive Bulwark being in the Ward of Dawn. But Twilight Arsenal obviously is just a pretty solid DPS super. You can weaken targets with it. It is very good. But now jumping into armor, as you probably saw in my last prismatic video, I don't have any like crazy armor on my Titan. Pretty much all my playtime has been on my Warlock, but it's kind of, again, just goes to show you don't really need any tier 5s or anything for this build to work. However, for stats, you don't really need to like get anything like 200 grenade or, you know, 200 class ability. Again, you don't really need to overshield from your class ability, obviously. So if I had to recommend anything, you're definitely going to want 100 grenade, 100 class ability to get the max regen possible, because again, the whole theme is to basically provide overshields for your team, healing for your team, and weaken for your team. So that's going to be very good. Now, if you want to play into weapons, you could as well, since this is all going to be a very weapon focused build. Now, if you could get to 200 weapons, that's probably what I would recommend if you can still have your energy regen from your grenade class ability, but you're going to be killing a lot of things with your weapons with this build, not really your abilities like some of the other builds. So getting to 200 weapons could be very beneficial. Melee doesn't really matter. If you want to get to 100 super, you could try to do that as well if you want to spam your Twilight Arsenal, or again, whatever super you want to take, which is, you know, still going to be very good. So if you want to go like 100, if you can get that, that's probably going to be your best way to go, because again, you don't really need any crazy ass stats to make something do more damage in this build. It's just all about just utility and survivability. Now for the armor mods, this is what I'm running if you like to copy them down. But first off, a Harmonic Siphon, so rapid void kills can make an overpower. This is good for Echo Starvation to create Devour. I also like to run Special Ammo Finder just to get some more special, which we'll talk more about here in the weapons, and then Dynamo, so whenever I use my class ability on targets, I'll get some super energy. Since you're gonna be able to spam Barricade a lot with this build, this is obviously a no-brainer to take. Next up, Harmonic Loader, so I increase your load speed of void weapons, which is nice. Bolster Detonation, Focusing Strike, so whenever I deal damage with a grenade, I will get some class ability energy, and then now whenever I deal damage with a power melee attack, I will get some class ability energy. So I essentially just use my grenade to punch somebody, I get even more class ability to spam even more barricades, which is very good. Now for your chest piece, just go through this mod, so I'm sorry for the content you're going into. For the boots, a Innervation, Installation, Absolution. Absolution will stack on top of both of these and also grant some extra melee energy as well. But essentially, you're going to be getting a lot of grenade and class ability energy where you pick an orb up, since you can make orbs all the time with your weapon. You're just going to be able to spam your abilities a lot easier. And then for the class item, I like to run a bomber, so when I put my class ability down, I will get grenade energy. Since the class ability itself is granting the overshield, kind of giving you the grenade energy back, it's just kind of further place into that. Powerful Attraction, so you pick all the orbs around you when you throw the class ability down. This is a no-brainer to take. And then Special Finisher, so whenever you get a finisher on enemy, you'll make special ammo, which is very nice. So it's going to kind of look something like this. You're going to just basically see a bunch of enemies. You can throw your grenade to weaken them, then pop your barricade down. Your teammates can come up. You can start doing damage. You're going to send out these healing pulses. If you have an orb, you can run up and pick it up and then maybe run back to your barricade. You know, typically won't be closer by if there's obviously, you know, in an actual in-game scenario, but you can then basically start proccing Devour and get your grenade back, have another weekend. As you see, we have another barricade ready to go as well. And meanwhile, while you're doing all this, you're unkillable because of all the healing from Crest of Alpha Loopy and the overshield from the barricade itself. It is super nice, and it is just very good for in-game content, because you could basically just keep everyone alive. But jumping into weapons, like I mentioned about the Special Ammo Finder, the reason I like to run it is because I really enjoy running Choir 1 with the setup. Choir 1 is just so good in general, but it's really fun with the Void setups. If you don't want to run Choir 1, again, these are crafted, so you can run whatever you want to. There's that Apex and Rush Great combo. It's still very good. But again, you can also swap it out for whatever, you know, artifact perks you're running, for whatever activity you're doing. But with Choir 1, it's super nice because you can have stabilizer rounds to proc things like Cessation, which is just super good to make those void breaches. And since this is also a very weapon focused build, having a just very strong Ackler weapon aka being Choir 1. It just pairs super nice with this build. I mean, as you saw, as what I just did there a second ago, you can basically just hunker down and just start going to town with something like Choir, and you're making the void breaches. You have the crazy reload speed because of the barricade. It is just so nice. But once again, if you don't like it, you can literally run whatever else you like to, whatever you like. Just keep in mind that this is going to be a weapon focused build, so your weapons are going to do most of the killing. So you probably look to run something a little more meta than what you normally would, depending on the type of content that you are doing. Now for set bonuses, since you are mainly focusing on weapons, I would definitely look out for like a 2-piece Bushido, because this is going to make it so when you reload, your final blow's going to hit you. Pairing that with your Devour, it's going to make it even more tankier. Even if you like the disaster corpse set here, since this is playing around auto rifles, if you are running something like Choir Run, that could be very good. If you are running hazardous propulsion, I'm 90% certain Aeon adapter right here for the 2-piece will actually work with the micro missiles, but even if you aren't running it, you can still run Retrograde and still take advantage of the decreased area effect damage for even more survivability, which is nice. The 2-piece smoke jumper, always solid. You're not going to be like making crazy orbs with this build, but if your teams are making them, you know, you're still obviously going to be able to take advantage of this, even more damage reduction, which is nice. If you're running kinetic weapons, obviously you can take tech set, you know, trials, as I've mentioned all the time, you can heal off ammo breaks, which is nice. There's nothing crazy that's going to make the build like drastically better, but if I was you, I would probably look out for like a 2-piece Bushido, like I said. And if you are playing hazardous, or if you're just running Retrograde, 2-piece Aeon adapter is still going to be very good. But I jumped into the Transmog. I went for the same theme here as I did for Warlock. It's kind of like a black shader, and then like the void kind of taking over the Guardian, which I think turned out looking pretty cool. I took advantage of the Edge of Fate ornaments. I think this was like the level 110 ornament, but I do have the New Monarchy ornament for the Crest of Alpha Lupi. You could just throw the other one on. Honestly, it looks a little bit better because it's just more darker, but I think this is just, you just got to run this if you have it, right? Like, if you know, you know. But everything else, again, just kind of playing into just void animation effects, and overall I think it turned out looking pretty cool. So if you want to make your Titan look like this, definitely be sure to copy it down. Anyway, so that's going to do it all for this build. Let me know what y'all think about it down in the comments below. I know Void Titan is not like the craziest meta thing in the game by any means. In most situations, you're probably not going to run it over something like Prismatic or Arc or even Stasis now. But if you do want to really play into the fantasy of being unkillable and kind of just a team support role, just a literal tank for your team, this is definitely the build to play. Again, you're healing them, you're providing overshields, you're providing weaken. It is just super supportive, and it is also pretty fun to play with the amount of just overshields and barricades you can spam. It's definitely one I recommend giving a shot if you haven't tried it. And compared to other void builds on the Titan, there's really nothing too crazy in my opinion. So this is definitely up there with some of the best ones, because again, it kind of just gets overshadowed by the other subclasses in the game. Now, if there ever is a raid encounter where you really do need a tank, this is going to be by far the best thing you can run. It is going to be super nice, and that's the reason I'm listing it as a build that you probably want to have ready for Renegades, just in case. Anyway, so that's going to do it all for me. If you haven't checked the Warlock build out, definitely be sure to give it a watch, and the 100 build will be coming tomorrow. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.